Hello y'all, it's Valerie here at Pisces Mountain Farm, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a different kind of garden tour. Instead of taking you around my whole property, I think I'm kind of just going to show you the things that have maybe changed since the last garden tour I did. Things that have either put on growth or they just look different. I figured that that would be less redundant and less repetitive than looking at the same semi-barren field grown over with weeds over and over again. Alright, I guess we'll get started. My battery may run out. We're going to try to do this anyways. Bear with me, guys. I feel out of it. I feel silly, I feel goofy, and I feel like I don't know what I'm saying. Alright, so the first part that's kind of different is this front area. All my plants that needed to be planted were setting here, and so we moved all of them. We tarped off this little area that was full of weeds, and I moved all my plants that still needed planted here. I have less so now, so that's why you see gaps. But still working on getting my greenhouse up. Of course, that's overgrown with weeds. But we've tarped this off, so whenever the greenhouse is up, the weeds will be dyed back in here, and we can do what we're going to do here. And I just stepped in dog crap. Anyways, this section right here that's going to be, let me go this way. If you look, this section is between where my greenhouse is going to be and where my front little area with my table. This area I think we're going to put in a little fire pit. And then if you swing around this way, so many things are overgrown. This whole place is overgrown. But then we've got some really beautiful things like the sea holly's blooming, the status. That rose has been showing off since late spring, mid to late spring. More status. Bachelor's buttons. I'm getting ready to pull this lettuce because it's bolting, and I'm going to put some of the things that are still on this tarp where this lettuce is. Snapdragons. Looking beautiful. There's lots of ragweed I need to pull. This really does need weeded. I decided to leave this milkweed. I've got peas that'll be pulled soon. There's tomatoes down in here. My borage is going to be blooming soon. This is a seed dahlia. My forget-me-nots is putting on another bloom. Pineapple sage. Actually, pineapple mint. I do have pineapple sage. Let's see what else is notable over here. This dahlia that I grew from seed is in bloom. Just various other things growing. If I point them all out, we'll be here all day. So I'm trying to just get the stuff that's blooming. Lobelia that I grew from seed. Let's see. English daisies. Yellow columbine that I got in as a plug. The coral bells are doing really pretty. Loving a mist. This bed here is doing really well. The chard is getting huge. Status is not quite blooming yet in this bed, but it's getting ready to. I have sweet peas blooming. Let's see. Lysianthus sending up some stalks, some tomatoes, some beautiful yellow Swiss chard. More status. this petunia that's growing like crazy. I'm sorry if I'm casting shade. We have these pink dandelions that are growing nice and healthy but haven't bloomed yet. And honestly, I'm not quite sure what this is. It was grown in one of my jugs, but it was in a jug that definitely wasn't, this is not what was grown in the jug, like the jug was marked as. I don't remember what I had the jug marked as, but it wasn't this. So I just put it in here to see what it is. I've got these purple Magnolia Tendril peas. I'm letting these go to seed because it's been very hot and they haven't really been putting off a ton of new blooms like they were. So the ones that are still on there are going to seed. I have so many things. The same with that pea bush. I'm not doing that one as much for seed because I have more of that seed. But since they're getting big and fat, if they don't get eaten soon, I will save those for seed as well. The next spot I'm going to show you is my tomato trellis, which is just down there over the hill. Oh, actually, I'll show you this little bed here. Not much has changed, so I'm not going to go over too much. This is the one I've just built. But you can probably see things are starting to stand up. And next we're going to go down there amongst the trellises. I really just wanted to show that this stuff is starting to perk up. It's starting to put on some new healthy green growth. But really there's not too much more to show. So let's walk towards the tomatoes. These are all my failure jugs. These are the jugs that didn't germinate. This is where I've got my little rhubarb asparagus bed, and as you can see, there's some rhubarb. There's some rhubarb. And over there, this area, there is asparagus. Okay, I just wanted to show that off real quick since we were walking by it. Blueberry bushes. We should be getting our first blueberries ripe within the next couple of weeks, I would estimate. Okay, this is hard to see because it hasn't been weeded. But as you come down this way, where all my astilbes and my lady's mantle is, I kind of went over here and put these coleus in that I just needed to get planted out. This will look much prettier. This one was one I overwintered from last year that I grew from seed because it's the only one that I had that was pink. So I overwintered it, that's why it's so big. But all the rest of them, I grew from seed. I guess I grew that one from seed too. It's just that I grew it last year, not this year. So I had a melon of some sort planted there. Something ate it. My peppers look pitiful, but if you could have seen them a week ago, you would be amazed at the way these things are looking right now. So I'm not going to get into these. I'm going to wait until I have more to show you. But I will show you this real quick just because it's pretty. Well, let's find it. Can you see that variegation? Alright. This little slope is where I have my peppers, or my onions. They're starting to swell. I need to come cut some tops. They look like they really need it. And also, I need to fertilize some more and weed again. I just got through weeding this bed, but I need to do it again. Volunteer sunflower. I have a couple volunteer potatoes down here amongst my onions, and this stalk there, that's a volunteer sunflower that something ate. Celery from last year going to seed. They're going to flower. I'm collecting the seed. I have quite a few things in these beds down here. Whenever they're grown up a little bit more and I actually have something to show you, I will do a more in-depth tour of these. And if they don't ever start to shape up, I probably won't. Who knows, I might. Sometimes you got to show your failures too. But we are headed back that way. We have started the process of mulching and tying up, stringing up all our tomatoes. So these trellises still aren't quite done. It's not quite floor to weave. As you can see, what I do is I string it back and forth, sort of like a floor to weave, but then I attach them to it. And if I would have been smart, these would have all been double rows, but I didn't think of it until I got closer to the bottom. So I'm just going to walk through this way. Eventually it'll be all mulched. But you kind of come down here, and as you can see, there are tomatoes everywhere. We have some that have died we're going to replace. These ones right here, this is just a walkthrough. So, let's see. This right here, these rows haven't been mulched at all. That one back there hasn't been weeded at all, but I don't have tomatoes back there. We'll go over there in a second. But you can kind of see what it's going to look like. Let me walk down this last row because it is the only one that's got a complete section mulched. And I will say that these are the last set of tomatoes I put in is along this row, so they're a little bit smaller than the rest. I did think to put a double row here. We just got sticks, spare sticks from the lumber yard, string from Walmart, and we did trellis this way last year, so we've done this before. Right now, we're in shade, and you might be wondering, well, how are your tomatoes growing? Well, this field gets sun on it first thing in the morning as soon as the sun makes it to our farm. So it gets a good, I'd say about 7, at this time of year, it's getting about 6.5 to 7 hours of full, hard sun a day. And then somewhere between 4 and 5 o'clock, it starts to get shady down here. But the shade itself, it's hard to show you, but it's not like full shade. Even though it looks really shady compared to the sunny area, it's not like being underneath the canopy of the trees in the forest or underneath a bush. So even though it's shaded, it's still getting a bunch of ambient diffused light, if that makes sense. So we'll see how they do, because the further they get to this edge of our property, the more in shade they are. But everything seems to be doing well so far. So I do know that even this very bottom row gets at least 6 hours. Right now it's getting 6+ hours of sun every day. And then it gets diffused shade. Because if I could show it to you, even though it's shady down here, like I said, it's not the same as being in the woods. It's been in the 90s and the 100s lately with high humidity. And so I really feel like this being shaded right now might be doing it a service. It might be protecting it from some of the harsh afternoon sun. And I don't know, we'll just see. We'll see how it works. Eventually we will mulch all around this area too. Eventually from that structure there, not the barn in the background, but the structure here, all the way through these trellises will be mulched. And I think it'll look really pretty. It's starting to look really cool so far, and it's really nice to walk down here because I don't know if you've noticed most of the time I'm gardening barefoot, so it's nice to have this to walk on instead of briars or sticks or anything else. What I wanted to show you down here, I told you that this wasn't weeded. I have gourds. That one was just newly planted. That's why the leaves are yellowing. I ripped something else out that didn't take off. There's pumpkins and melons and cucumbers along this aisle. And these ones that haven't been mulched along this side, they've at least been weeded. This row right here has not been weeded at all. I think this is going to look really cool whenever all the tomatoes are grown in. I think that I'm going to end this tour here because this is really what we've been working on the most. There's a couple things up where in my trampoline ring area that I could show you, but it's very hot up right there right now, and there's a lot more going on than what it looks like, so if I showed you, it wouldn't look like much right now. So I think I'm going to hold off on that, give it a few weeks, and see if it grows into where there's actually something to see and not just something for me to say. Alright guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little teeny tiny garden tour. I will see you next time.